We are locking the only door off this planet, and we've already thrown away the key. Look up at the night sky. It looks peaceful, empty, but right now, Earth is being suffocated by an invisible hypersonic web of metallic shrapnel. We are building an inescapable prison. Most people think losing satellites just means a dropped call or a world without YouTube. That is child's play. In the next few minutes, you will discover how a single fleck of paint could trigger the silent, total collapse of modern civilization, and why humanity might never leave Earth again. To understand this nightmare, you have to forget everything you know about how things crash on Earth. Down here, air resistance slows things down. But up in low Earth orbit, or LEO, there is no air. There is no friction. Everything up there, from multi-million-dollar satellites to discarded rocket boosters, is screaming around the planet at roughly 17,500 miles per hour. That is 10 times faster than a sniper rifle bullet. At these incomprehensible speeds, the normal laws of physics are weaponized by kinetic energy. Size no longer matters. Velocity is the only god that dictates survival. Imagine a microscopic fleck of old paint peeling off a dead rocket. It's no bigger than your fingernail. If that paint fleck hits an astronaut's visor at 17,000 miles per hour, it doesn't just bounce off, it strikes with the explosive, devastating force of a detonating hand grenade. Now scale that up just a tiny bit. Picture a stray chunk of aluminum debris, roughly the size of a glass marble. If that marble slams into the hull of the International Space Station, it carries the exact same kinetic punch as a 3-ton truck plowing into a brick wall at 60 miles per hour. It would instantly punch a hole right through the station's armor, sucking out the oxygen and ending the lives of everyone inside in seconds. The terrifying reality of space is that we don't need a massive asteroid to destroy our infrastructure. The vacuum of space turns a harmless drifting screw or a dropped wrench into a weapon of mass destruction. And right now, there are millions of these invisible bullets circling our heads, just waiting to hit their targets. This brings us to the chilling mathematical tipping point known as the Kessler Syndrome, named after NASA scientist Donald Kessler. In 1978, Kessler warned that we wouldn't need an alien invasion or a sci-fi space war to trigger orbital doomsday. We only needed to reach a critical density of objects in orbit, where a single random accident could spark an unstoppable chain reaction. And the terrifying truth is, that reaction may have already started. In February 2009, a functioning American communications satellite, Iridium-33, was blindly orbiting Earth. Suddenly, Cosmos 2251, a massive dead Russian satellite, slammed into it at over 22,000 miles per hour. The impact was catastrophic. In a fraction of a second, both satellites were vaporized into a sprawling cloud of lethal shrapnel. That single collision instantly created over 2,000 large pieces of trackable debris and hundreds of thousands of microscopic fragments. Each one of those fragments was instantly birthed as a new hypersonic bullet, scattered across entirely new, unpredictable orbital paths. This is the brutal math of death in the Kessler Syndrome. Space debris breeds space debris. When one of those new bullets inevitably strikes another satellite, it doesn't just destroy it, it shatters it into 2,000 more bullets. 1 becomes 2,000, 2,000 becomes 4 million. It multiplies exponentially, feeding on itself. A localized accident transforms into a cascading storm of shrapnel that sweeps across the entire globe, shredding everything in its path. It is an endless, self-sustaining hurricane of razor-sharp metal that will not stop until the sky is completely swept clean of human engineering. So what actually happens down here on the ground when the sky is violently torn apart? Most people suffer from a dangerous, almost naive misconception. They think a destroyed satellite network just means you can't check Google Maps, your cell reception gets a little spotty, or you can't stream your favorite shows. The reality is infinitely darker and much faster. If our satellites die, the invisible pillars holding up modern civilization die with them. The first domino to fall isn't your social media, it is the entire global financial system. Right now, every ATM on your street, every high-frequency stock market exchange, and every single international wire transfer relies on the ultra-precise atomic clocks ticking inside GPS satellites. They synchronize our financial world down to the exact nanosecond. Without that continuous heartbeat from space, the global banking network instantly freezes. Trillions of dollars become locked away in a digital void. Your credit cards revert to useless pieces of plastic. Next, the arteries of global trade are severed. Massive cargo ships carrying the world's food, fuel, and medicine would suddenly find themselves completely blind in the middle of the ocean. In the air, thousands of commercial airplanes would simultaneously lose their precise routing data, turning the sky into a chaotic and deadly guessing game. But the final, most devastating blow comes from nature itself. Without our network of advanced weather satellites acting as our eyes in the sky, humanity becomes completely blind to incoming environmental threats. Imagine a monstrous Category 5 hurricane forming in the dark and slamming into a densely populated coastal city with absolutely zero early warning. No time for mass evacuations, no emergency preparations, just sudden, catastrophic destruction. Within 24 hours of the Kessler Syndrome reaching its peak, our hyper-connected digital utopia would be violently dragged back to the technological dark ages of the 1950s. The modern world would simply stop functioning. Everything you rely on to survive would vanish, leaving society completely paralyzed and vulnerable in ways we haven't experienced in nearly a century. But the true horror of the Kessler Syndrome isn't just what we lose, it is what we become. When this cascading chain reaction reaches its climax, Earth will be completely encased in a swirling supersonic cloud of metallic debris, a deadly suit of armor. At this point, you might be wondering, why can't we just clean it up? Why not launch giant magnets or shoot huge nets into orbit to catch the trash? It sounds logical, but it is an illusion. Space is unfathomably vast. These millions of jagged fragments are not floating in a neat line. They are traveling on thousands of intersecting orbital planes at varying altitudes, crisscrossing at roughly 17,000 miles per hour. To catch just one piece of debris, a cleanup machine would have to launch, match that exact hypersonic velocity, capture the fragment, and then burn massive amounts of fuel to change orbit and hunt down the next one. Doing this for hundreds of millions of pieces is physically and economically impossible with current or near-future technology. We cannot sweep it under the rug. This means launching any rocket through the stratosphere becomes an act of guaranteed suicide. Any crewed spacecraft trying to leave Earth would be shredded to dust in seconds by the orbital shrapnel. Consequently, every dream we have of becoming a multiplanetary species dies. The colonization of Mars? Canceled. Lunar bases? Dead. Humanity will be officially, permanently locked on the very planet we evolved on. We will have built our own inescapable, maximum security prison, and we will have to wait hundreds, maybe thousands of years for the incredibly thin atmospheric drag to slowly pull the debris down to burn up. We are trapped, serving a multi-generational sentence for our own reckless ambition. This leaves us with a haunting final image. Imagine the generations of the future, When they look up at the night sky, they won't be dreaming of exploring the vast, endless stars. Instead, they will see sudden flashes of light, metallic streaks of debris catching the sun's rays. They will be looking at the cold iron bars of a colossal prison built by their own ancestors. If you want to keep exploring the darkest, most terrifying truths of our universe before the internet disappears forever, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. See you in the next one.